Welcome into the Gator Nation Football Podcast film review. For those of you that were tuning in last year, welcome back. If you're brand new, welcome for the first time. Each week throughout the season, I'm going to break down Florida's game versus their opponents. And of course, in week one, we took on Utah and had a sensational game in the swamp. As always, if you like this content, you can support us by following us on social media, by dropping a dono on Patreon to support our efforts to bring you more content like this throughout the year, or check out the podcast each and every Monday where we bring you in-depth analysis on the Florida Gators. Now for this defensive breakdown video, I'm going to go very in-depth. I'm going to cover a ton of plays, probably too many plays, in hopes that we're going to put down a marker for where Florida's defense is now and where it's going to be at the end of the year. The defense did not perform as well as the offense did in this football game. There is reason to hope, and there are also questions that will need to be answered. So we're sort of starting and building the foundation for a narrative that's going to explain what this season looks like on the defensive end of the football field. I'm looking forward to diving in. I'm glad you're here with me. Let's start right now with the first play that Utah ran in this football game. First down and 10 here for Utah after a turnover from Florida. Unfortunately, of course, the fumble. And so here we go. Let's take a look at what Patrick Toney's defense looks like right out of the box. We're going to run a 3-4. 3. Here's Cox, who's going to be sort of free in this defense to kind of go where he wants. In reality, these are 4 linebackers, but in the college game often this is really a defensive lineman who functions as a playmaking linebacker or a rush end. But what matters is, as we've not often seen in the past, when teams come out in heavy personnel, in this case, Utah ran a lot of 13 personnel, 1 running back and 3 tight ends. Not something you see very often at any level of football. They ran it a lot. That was a wrinkle they had for Florida. The second wrinkle they had was running tempo, something they almost never did under Whittingham. That was a nice surprise by them. These 2 wrinkles allowed them to have quite a bit of success. So, hopping right in. Right off the bat, Florida is going to go for a scrape exchange. Scrape exchange, the DN is going to come down hard on the running back, and Shamar James, a true freshman linebacker, should be coming into the gap to be the edge defender. Now, he's a freshman. This is a big transition from high school to here. In theory, he should already be here, right? He should be further up here on this play fake. He's not. That's going to cause an issue with this play. Here comes Bernie, who's going to chuck his defender off and actually speed this play up for Cam. Rising. The only thing is this play, a little bit wonky here from Utah, but this play could have been a big play because Florida's in a lot of trouble here. If he gets this pass out like he should, this is a touchdown, probably right off the bat. Unless Marshall beats his man out here to the outside, and again, that looks pretty bad. So maybe we get a save here from Torrance, but that looks pretty bad. But we get out of the gate here and we're okay. A little bit of pressure early on causes that to be, stopped. The play call there is great. The scrape exchange is great. If everything works correctly, which it didn't work correctly, because again, this is game 1, week 1 install. Florida's defense was a horrifically coached unit for multiple years in a row. It's not something, in my opinion, that you can fix in a fall and spring camp. It's going to take more time. A lot of these players have very bad habits from years of really just, as I've chronicled, horrific coaching. There's no other way to say it. And so this is going to take some time. What you want to see here, and I'm not going to spend nearly as much time on the rest of these plays as I will on this one. I'm going to go through them much more quickly because I'm going to show you a lot of plays. But in general, if you get the scrape exchange right, like I mentioned, he crashes on the running back. He's got to get down here. You have to keep, if you're Bernie, you actually need to keep outside leverage here. You have to stay outside. You cannot do what he does here and flick to the inside because now you've really killed this play. Shamar James has no chance of ever making the tackle over here. If you instead stay to the outside and do your job, then Shamar James does his job, then everyone else does their job, you can stop this play. But what plagued Florida's defense a lot in this game was one guy going rogue. In this case, it's going to be Bernie. And then, of course, other guys just not quite doing their job correctly. And that's going to be okay. Again, it's game 1, week 1 of a new coach's install. The scheme here is sound. Execution, not sound. Florida gets away with it. 2nd and 10 now, the very next play we talked about in the podcast heading into the game, that Bernie was going to have a really tough matchup, as was any of Florida's linebackers, or were any of Florida's linebackers dealing with the tight ends on Utah. In this case, we're not dealing with a tight end. We're actually dealing with a receiver who they line up on Bernie. But regardless, it was going to be a problem. Bernie, Florida's linebackers in general, not good cover guys. Could some of the freshmen become those guys? Potentially, yes. We're going to have to find out. Right now, we don't know. What we know right now is Florida is weakest at linebacker. That showed in this game significantly. And you're going to see it right here. This is way too easy. Rule number 1 of defense is take away a team's first read. And Rising quickly and very easily locks onto this. I mean, it doesn't get any easier than this. I mean, this is as simple as it can be. Florida playing cover 1 man, which I like, except I don't like that. That's just so easy for 12 yards. I mean, that's untenable. And that will be a theme, of course, of this podcast, as Bernie, unfortunately, is just not up for the task of covering receivers on the interior. And you better believe that every single team in college football that plays Florida is going to know that. So Florida's going to have to address that as we move through the season. For Florida, unlike on the offensive side where things were very impressively clean, again, the offense was a better coached unit for sure than the defense was throughout the past years. But in general here, a lot of confusion on defense. So take a look at Trey Dean and Torrance. Torrance here signaling to Trey Dean what to do. Trey Dean really has no idea. There's a lot of confusion. Who am I guarding? What am I doing? We've got 2 out here. I'm not responsible for that. Trey Dean's like, what am I doing? And then, here we go. Here comes Bernie doing what is presumably his job to force the quarterback. Now we have Trey Dean, who's way too far back. He should have been rotating down here much earlier. And we get almost a hero play here from Jason Marshall. Nice job. Come around the outside, right? Really well done by him to slow him up. And he only really gets, 5 or 6 when he could have gotten 10. But either way, a lineup issue. So early on, we already have issues lining up, getting communicated correctly. Again, not entirely surprising. Week 1, game 1 install. 2nd and 4 now from Utah. A couple things to look at. First of all, Helm got a lot of plays here at corner, but his depth is definitely wrong. We're playing off man. His depth, although you're further from the ball, now I want to say this, he's the furthest from the ball. The ball's on the far hash. He's allowed to take more depth, but in this situation on the goal line, I'd like to see him a little bit closer than he is. Florida's good. We're going to show this a lot in corner technique. I love corner technique. Obviously, one thing that Tony's really good at teaching, and I covered this on the Louisiana video, is corner technique. Then in general, you're not going to see what we've seen in the past. You're going to see receivers, and I'll display this on this podcast, largely doing a very short shuffle step here early on, so that if any of these routes break within 3 yards, they can come down on it. Well, Helm starts where he starts and then just backpedals, which is not, again, what he's been taught, a little reversion of what we saw in the past. And that allows us running back to actually be wide open here early on this route. Now, it's not going to matter. He's not going there. Florida's going to bring pressure from the weak side, which is nice. Now, the running back's wide open here, but you're going to take that because this pressure is well disguised. We have a corner blitz. This is the right time, by the way, to do a corner blitz, right? You've got more players here on the wide side of the field. You only have 1 here. You're going to let that get soaked up by Trey Dean, and you're going to bring pressure here. And you take the chance that if this running back comes out, it's a touchdown. But odds are pretty good here that what you get is this. He's opening up right away to this side. He does not see this blitz at all. Now you get a blindside attack. If Florida had covered for a quarter second more, we get a hit here. But really, there's nowhere to go. And again, who is he looking for? His second favorite target at tight end there. 86. He doesn't hit him. And Florida lives for a 3rd down. 3rd down and 4. Again, Utah, a very efficient team, a high floor team. We talked about this heading into this season. They're not going to give you a lot. You can see that there with their 3rd down conversion rate and just how they play. Florida, again, confused. Take a look here. We have Bernie. We have Trevez. No one really has any idea what's happening. What's happening, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know either. Okay, great. The ball's snapped. And what do we get? Nice pocket climb here. And then an easy slip out and touchdown to their favorite target, who went for over 100 yards, who we profiled on the podcast, and Florida really had a hard time covering. And let's just take a look at what goes on here. So again, Bernie's confused. Keep in mind, Bernie's confused. Bernie is going to wrap up here in the mesh. This is a nice route, right? This is a mesh route coming across. Is this a pick route? You tell me what that looks like. I don't know. Sort of pick route. Now, I like that Florida's become a lot more physical on this stuff. Unfortunately, Ventrell Miller, who's trying to slide here, right? No chance he's going to cover him. No chance. Just not going to happen. That's a bad matchup. Shouldn't happen there. Happens. And then Trevez really kind of just covers no one. He recognizes he's not in a good shape. He's going to turn around and bump around. And we just get all messed up here, right? We get all messed up here with what's happening because we are unsure of what these two are doing. And that leads to this touchdown. It's very possible that what should have happened instead is Trevez should just stay here and play this flat zone. They should pass this off, in which case he would have seen this coming underneath. He stays here. He actually stops that. Secondarily, as far as Florida's defensive line goes here, you get good edge pressure, but we get an over rush. We've talked about this before in the past. This is not what you want to do. This is Princely, although he's got a lot of skill and a lot of talent. You do not want to over rush this situation. You're better off here trying to circumvent this and get him out of the pocket in a different way, right? If you over rush the spot, it's an easy step up and an easy throw. So all in all, Florida here. The confusion, I think, was the more frustrating part. It leads to a touchdown to Utah's #1 target. Utah 1st and 10. This is a thing of beauty. How often have we seen in the past 2 safeties when a team goes with 9 guys in the box? How often have we seen that? Right, here's your 9. I mean, how often? How many times have I chronicled that? I don't know, countless. This is nice. This is right. Florida's showing no fear. We are here. We're here for the party. If you want to line up like that, we're going to line up like this. So that's good scheme. Something that was weird and is weird is how far Florida's been lined up off the ball. Now, I can't explain this. I don't know the answer to this. I will try to find it. I do not know. Very bizarre. You're going to see it a lot. I'm not going to keep mentioning it because you can just see it for yourself. I don't get it. It makes no sense. So someone's going to have to educate me on how that happened because, again, you do not want to be giving up any space on the line of scrimmage. That's not a good idea for a million different reasons, yet Florida consistently did it. So we'll see if that's a feature or a bug of what happened on game day. If it's a feature, they'd be, to my knowledge, one of the only teams that would be choosing to line up off the ball so frequently. Doesn't make any sense. Again, sometimes if you have a team running a lot of meshes or crosses or you think it's a passing down, perhaps you want to do that to give yourself room to level that, but it's 1st and 10. I don't understand that. So leave that there for now. All right. So what do we do like here? We like the scrape exchange, right? So we're going to bring Cox down, our most athletic defensive lineman when it comes to quickness and speed, and we're going to blow up whatever comes in here. We're just going to blow this stuff up, muddy the picture, and allow Dean, our strong safety, to be our scrape exchanger who comes in and actually becomes the edge defender. He's going to beat his man. There goes Cox flying through, and then we're going to make a nice play here and get almost a tackle for loss. But regardless, a nice play there. Cox in this game was either awesome or doing the wrong thing. A lot of it was awesome. Some of it was doing the wrong thing, and we'll cover that. If Cox can just stay within himself and do what the coaching staff wants him to do, his game will go to the next level. He's going to have to fight the urge to want to take games over himself when he gets frustrated because he does have, obviously, tremendous talent. You'll see that pop all throughout this film session. All right, 3rd down and 7, a chance for Florida fans to see Florida using a very modern concept here. That is simulated pressure in football. Again, I cannot tell you what is this. That doesn't make any sense. That's just wrong. I really hope they fix that because that is very wrong. But a simulated pressure is where we're going to put a bunch of guys here and the defense is showing potentially blitz. But you also have no idea who is coming or going on this play. So who's going to rush, who's not going to rush. And it's called a simulated pressure because Florida's only going to bring 4, which is not actually a pressure. To bring a pressure, you got to bring at least 5. They're just going to bring 4. And we're going to bring Trey Dean from his strong safety spot as the 4th. And we're going to drop back here. Now, one thing I liked, and we didn't see this often in previous regimes, is the linebackers are opening up and IDing where the routes are actually going, right? Where do I go? Where do I drop? Where's he looking? And then again, turn back, locate the quarterback. Where's he looking? And Rising has this, but a nice little play here. Look, get his hand up. Get your hand up right here. A nice little play to deflect this ball, right? This is going to be a 1st down to his favorite target underneath here. And that's a really nice play by Sapp. Great play. You might not have noticed that in the stadium. High-level play, way to get your hands up, way to get in the throwing lane, and a nice early stop for Florida down 7-0. All right, 1st and 10 now for Utah. One thing you can never see on TV, which is frustrating, is what happens on a play like this one. But here, you're going to have Marshall matched up with a wide receiver. Utah 51 yards to their wide receivers in this game. Not a lot of success there. Florida had a good matchup on them. He's going to run a stutter go, and Florida's defense is going to absolutely eat this play fake. Again, this is poor eye discipline from Florida. This is Shamar James. He's a freshman. I'm not going to blame anything on him. He'll have to learn. Here's Ventrell Miller, who ate that like a cupcake. I mean, look at this, right? Look at this. Look at where the defense is. Look at Trey Dean over here. I mean, what are we doing? Ridiculous. Anyway, we eat it. Here comes Helm to come help out. Here's his favorite target, who is wide open. Thankfully, Jason Marshall's locked up what they wanted, which was the stutter go bomb route. And then he's looking down here at his first check down, and Cam Rising is not exactly Anthony Richardson. Nice quarterback, does nice things, not as quick to process the field. He does not come around until right now to even see him, and by now he's covered up, and Florida's going to survive here, just giving up 6 or 7 yards, despite getting totally faked out and leaving their favorite target open. It wound up that they covered, thanks to Marshall. They covered what they really wanted very, very well. So nice work there by Jason Marshall. Most of you probably didn't see it or notice it, but that's why we do film review, so you can see it there. 2nd and 3 now for Utah. Utah figures a play action is good once. Let's go with it again. Florida tried this several times in the game and was unsuccessful at bringing their safety blitz. This is not timed well here by Torrance. This is way too late. You want to be timing this much better. Ideally, if you're Torrance, you're already creeping and you're here by the time that ball is snapped, and he's not there. And so now he's slow, and now everyone can pick him up. Now we've lost the safety. We're down a man. We get excellent pressure on the inside here. Take a look at this. We win. And again, I said this in the podcast, the defensive line sort of got maligned in this game, I think, by a lot of Florida fans. And while certainly they weren't dominating the game, they were also doing some weird stuff like this. What the heck is Dexter doing that far off the ball? They were also playing severely undermanned, generally 4 versus 6 or 7 on almost every single snap, but they did have a lot of wins. This is a win. This is a pressure right up the gut, blowing up this play, but then we don't get the finish we need right there. So the defensive line has just earned you what you want. That's what you want, right? You're there. You're ready. You're set up. Now, this is you. You got to make a play. You were brought on this for this reason. You're the safety blitzing Torrance. This is the play you must make. You want to wind up putting a heavy loss on them. And unfortunately, we're going to miss bad, and then we're going to roll out, and we're going to throw this pass out here where you have Chavez. And this ball, incomplete, not incomplete, whatever the case may be, it looked pretty crazy. Certainly looked incomplete to me. Utah rushes to the line and gets the snap off. Florida should have called a timeout there and potentially challenged that one. It did happen very, very quickly. Typically, obviously, the refs stop it before it does happen, but sometimes you got to call a timeout. And that was a big play there on 2nd and 3 for a conversion by Utah, but could have been a 10-yard loss. So good scheme there. Good scheme. Solid scheme. We got a win there with the defensive line. We had a safety blitz right to where he was bootlegging. Nice call. Didn't work out. 2nd and 4. This is one of the few plays where you're going to see a linebacker come down and fill a gap the right way. A lot of good stuff going on here. One, Big Dez had a great game here at defensive tackle. Look at him pushing his man, driving down, holding up his end of the bargain. Florida, of course, took on a lot of double teams. Here's Dexter. They double teamed him the entire game, pushing him out. Very, very tough to deal with that, especially underman on the line. And then here, Utah's going to push out the rest of the line. But thanks to Dez, this is the key. If Dez gets pushed back here one-on-one, they like to go one-on-one with Dez, and they like to double Gervon Dexter, then this doesn't happen. But because of that, that allows Bernie to roam freely and make that hit right there. Again, one of the few hits for Florida's linebackers in the day that looked like that, I think largely made possible by Big Dez here in the middle going one-on-one, which was Utah's choice to go one-on-one with him and double Dexter instead, freeing up Bernie to make a tackle. Now, sometimes the TV angle really does the TV viewer an injustice, especially when they're showing a lot of replays or they're painting the crowd, because what we can't see here on this crucial 3rd and 3 is that Florida is not even remotely ready. There's a lot of discussion going on in the back end here on the All-22. There's a lot of discussion going on over here. We're still buckling our chin strap over here, and yet again, we're mysteriously lined up way off the line. What is that? Again, I don't know. Hopefully, we're never going to see it again. So it's 3rd and 3, crucial play, 7-7. We are not even remotely ready, at all. And Utah's going to take this layup and just blow through the hole right here. And Jason Marshall will make a tackle for a layup first down. So shades of Grantham there. Again, week 1, game 1 install. What Tony put on film at Louisiana is excellent. That defense was fundamental. The scheme is solid. I am not concerned with what I'm showing you here today, but I am showing it to you because a lot of this stuff on defense wasn't pretty. A lot of the scheme stuff was good. Execution wasn't great, but in general, the defense certainly was not on the same level as the offense in this game. Utah's tempo was a surprise. Utah, not a team that uses tempo historically really at all. And they came out and they used it. And we talked about that earlier. And here's an example of it. The camera, not even ready for ESPN. They're playing so fast here. On this particular play, we are ready. And this is why Cox can do some brilliant things on his own, is he is going to just shed this left tackle, see you later, and then make this play by himself. Again, he's capable of doing that. But sometimes this hurts him more than it helps him, because as the team struggles, he voids his responsibility to do something else because he wants to just make a stop. And while I appreciate that effort and desire, you have to do your job. And if your teammates let you down because they can't get it done, you cannot go rogue. That will make it too easy for the other team. But in this case, this is just a great play by him. Great read. Way to shed the block. Way to make a tackle. Beautiful play. There's a reason why, of course, he got the defensive player of the week in the SEC. He had a great stat line, had a lot of tackles, impacted the game heavily. But as you're going to see here, there's a lot of mental mistakes he made and a lot of things he just voided, essentially, and kind of went rogue on that. You got to clean up. And I have to believe Florida's staff is going to have to deal with that. Tricky situation. We're thin on the D-line. You got to find a way to say, listen, Cox, you have to trust all 11 guys. You have to trust our plan. You have to do what we're telling you. You cannot go rogue. And you got to send a message to your team that if he's going to keep going rogue, which we'll show you later, you can't keep playing him. Or you send a message to your team that, hey, it doesn't really matter if you listen to what we say. As long as you're athletic, you can kind of do whatever you want. And that's going to be something to follow all season long. 3rd down and 9 now for Utah. At the bottom of your screen, you're going to have Trevez. And right away, lining up pre-snap, things already look a lot better. Right? We covered this a lot in previous years. Outside leverage here, outside leverage here. We're going to funnel our plays to the safety. That's the goal here, right? Except we're going to have an issue. Here's Dean, a guy who I think struggled mightily in this game. And if he puts this kind of stuff on film, someone else has got to take his spot. He just struggled a lot. And here's Trevez. Trevez is going to stay to the outside. Same routes. They're both running slot fades, which is good. It's a good combination to call and cover one man. Florida's playing cover one man on 3rd down and 9, which is an aggressive call. We're only sending 4. We're not blitzing. And the coverage here is good. So this is not good, though. Again, you have a safety in the middle of the field. Your job is to stay outside of him. He gives you one tiny little, not even move. I mean, that's not even a move. And just like that, Trey Dean takes the inside, gets beat to the outside. Now, thankfully, we're getting again a rush here. I want to say this, defensive line. Here we come, right? Here comes Princely. He's coming in. We got a nice edge pressure here that causes Cam to step up, and then here comes Princely, going to hit him right here after the throw. He's got to take his check down. This is his safe check down route, and Ventrell Miller makes a nice tackle. So that's good defense, solid defense, but still plenty of things to clean up. Take a look at this play here by Gervon Dexter again. I mean, all I can do is laugh. It's bizarre. I wish I could have Tony on film review right now to explain this to us, because I think the explanation is something just went wrong. I would not expect to see this against Kentucky. Let's put it that way. All right. So Florida playing 1 yard off the LOS, but in this case, 1st and 10, we're going to bring a safety blitz again here with Torrance. This time, he times it better. Still not perfect. Again, you want him to be here, right? But he's closer this time, but you want him to be here. He's got to get a little bit more aggressive with that. It's not something he was asked to do ever last year. He's learning it. He'll get a better feel. But either way, you want him a little bit earlier. And why do you want him earlier? So that you don't have him IDing him so early, right? It's too early. He can pick him up, which he did. But in general here, I want you to focus on Dexter. Take a look at Dexter and watch what he does here, right? One-on-one. He's going to quickly, very quick feet, blow right past the center, and then boom, wrap up right there with Princely. So again, for the D-line, take a look at the D-line here. D-line's got 2, 4, 6, right? 7 guys, and they're playing a 3-4. So they got 4 guys coming in with a safety blitz. They got 5, and they're going to win this battle. We're going to shed one here. We're going to win one here. That's fantastic by the D-line. We're gonna get a TFL right there. So again, for the D-line, that's a win, and they're undermanned in that situation. So nice play. Here we have Trevez, a guy who's often been, unfortunately for this film review, not on the right side of things, and he's going to find himself here again. Florida, again, still trying to learn how to correctly play off man. This time we have 2 safeties. Louisiana was very good at this. Patrick Toney will get these guys to do this correctly. It just takes a long time to get this install correct. But one, again, we're off man, right? We're off man. These should be very small steps, barely going backwards. Instead, we have Trevez just going back huge steps, huge steps. Here comes your quick in-breaking route, and you are already way too far off. You've already lost way too much contact. That is very, very poor defense. That's going to allow for this completion, which you're not even making, because instead you've got Torrance coming downhill, reading this play, and there you go. Now, Torrance misses the tackle, which is really frustrating for Torrance. This has been an annoying thing consistently. But regardless, if you are Trevez, you know the safety is coming in here to help you on the middle, right? Because we're worried about him. He's tearing us up. You know that he's going one-on-one on the outside. And where are you going? What are you doing? Ridiculous. That stuff can't happen. And again, I know that Toney and the staff, they're going to see this, and they're going to say the same thing. Hey, if you're a freshman and you want to play, if you're Perkins, if you're anybody, if you want to play, don't put that on film. And I expect this year's staff to hold these guys accountable for that stuff, because you just can't be doing that. You can't be doing that stuff. And then he misses the tackle there as well. So it's got to get better in that regard. Scheme is fine there. Scheme is good. Everything there is fine. You got to execute. 3rd and 3 for Utah now. Important play as they lead 10-7 down in the red zone. Now as time goes on, Shamar James here, again a freshman, is going to play this better. He's still looking for Ventrell Miller. What do I do? Okay, here's where I'm standing. Ideally, he should be down here. He needs to be ready to make this play in the flat here. He is not. He's going to be late to this. That's okay. Torrance now playing safety, ready to come downhill on anything quick. There's your quick hitter to the best player. This is not a good ball. Should be thrown here. That's going to allow Torrance to come downhill and make the tackle, getting a very important stop for Florida, holding Utah to a field goal. Secondarily, Utah did fake going for this on 4th down, and Florida did not jump off sides, which is nice to see. In the past, of course, we have been guilty of that. So a positive there and a positive on 4th down holds Utah to 3 points instead of 6, and that would loom large in this game. Utah now down 1. 142 left in the second quarter here. Trevez now. Good communication here between Trevez. And unfortunately for Trevez, he's going to be one-on-one against 80. And 80 is going to just tear him up and gain 10 yards. Now, look, if you want to play as the nickel at Florida, this stuff cannot keep happening. It just can't keep happening. You should be quicker than this tight end. You should be able to stay with him, at least remotely. There's no hand contact here. The positioning is not good. You're giving away the route he wants to run to the middle of the field, and you're giving him 12 yards. That stuff cannot happen. If I'm Florida's coaching staff, I'm going to continue my hunt to find a nickel that can cover somebody, because, again, you just can't have that stuff. That is not going to cut it. 1st and 10, you're going to see some great technique here from Jason Marshall. We've talked about in the past Patrick Toney's ability, and obviously Corey Robinson as well. Florida's new corners coach, the best recruiter in college football. But Toney's defenses at Louisiana exhibited an excellent off-man technique, basically clinic on film. So here we have the far hash, right? We're on the far hash, which means we can take more distance playing off-man, and we have Jason Marshall. And he is not, watch where he starts. I want you to watch where he starts. Ball snapped, first of all. Eyes in the backfield. Ball snapped, eyes to receiver. He does not back up. No backing up. Why? Because he wants to see if this route is going to be within this 3 to 4 yard window. And if it is, he's going to come down on it. Cam takes a 0 drop. He's going to play quick game. And then Jason Marshall, not looking at the quarterback, sees this slant route. He can be aggressive because he's a safety over the top back here. He's going to come down on this, break this play up, and that is how you play off-man technique. It's great to see that. Of course, we have not seen that in previous years. I've been begging for something like that. And there it is. So that's great. Nice work by Marshall. You know, the coaches are teaching that to every single player, obviously on Florida's roster. Some of them are going to get it better than others, and some may not get it. And that's going to be the ones I think you see no longer playing as time goes on. Florida's going to bring the safety blitz again here, and this is why it's really important for Torrance to get better at this, as again, we want him to be here. We want him to be within 4 yards of the line of scrimmage. He's not when the ball is snapped. He's about 6 to 7. That's going to let the running back ID him easily and pick him up. That's going to leave a big, fat target window over here for number 80, their best receiver, Kuthi. And here it is, set, comfortable in the pocket, easy pitch and catch, only that Rising delivers an off ball here. Thankfully, Rising delivers an off ball. It's 2v2 here at the bottom of the screen, and they had everything they wanted. And Florida dodges a bullet. There's your field goal line. There's the score. Dodges a bullet on 2nd and 10, bringing up 3rd and 10. 3rd and 10 now, Florida showing a simulated pressure. Still too far off line of scrimmage, but showing a simulated pressure. Who is coming, who is not. And in this case, they are going to bring pressure. They're going to bring 5. And we're going to have Ventrell Miller sliding across into the throw lane here just in the nick of time to stop Rising from being able to finish this throw, which generates an off-target throw. Devin Moore is here. He's beat badly on this comeback route. It was a very nice route. Everything was there. Timing was solid. Should have been a simple completion into field goal range with plenty of time left. Instead, Utah goes 0 for 2 on 2 relatively straightforward pitch and catch plays. So again, Florida very fortunate not to go down in this game at halftime. Instead, they take a lead 14-13 into the locker room. All right, 1st and 10 for Utah coming out here in the 3rd quarter. Just take a look at Cox. Take a look at what he does here. I want you to watch this as he obliterates the man in front of him. This moment right here. Boom. Boom. That's a tight end right into the backfield. Power, force, way to get off the ball. Just drives him way back and then actually makes the tackle. And again, this is a big gain for Utah. I just want to highlight the individual skills of Cox, and that's why he can be frustrating is, of course, I know he tweeted after the game he wanted some respect and posted his stat line. And look, Cox, I'm going to give you all the respect you deserve here. You're a super talented guy. But let's clean up what I'm going to show in the second half here about the times you just go off script. But that's great stuff. That's not your fault here that Florida is going to choose to play this kind of defensive line. Now, I mentioned in the podcast, I would have liked to have seen Florida bring more down linemen in the game. I think if you're going to let a team go goal line formation here on 1st down and 10, bring more linemen in. Forget the linebackers. Bring more linemen in. Let's go 5. Go even 6. Run a 6-1 if you want. 6-1 became a popular counter to teams that wanted to run a lot of 12 personnel, and for good reason. I think Florida would have done well to do that. Now, Florida lacks bodies on the D-line. But in general, bring the beef in here. And Florida had success on the goal line in large part because they have the beef, which we're going to see later, and that worked out for them. But this, not a good recipe for success here. Either way, Cox blows his man up on this play. Nice individual effort. This is going to be another really nice play here from Cox. Again, he's going to be doing a scrape exchange where his job is to go in and blow this play up. The exchange comes from Trey Dean, who's going to become the edge defender. And then in a run situation, we have a motion call. So now Helm becomes the extra protector here. There goes Cox, going to fly in and try to disrupt the play, which he does, right? Which he does. Let's watch what Utah is running here. Utah coming through, trying to run a counter out to this side, which we know Florida's been very susceptible to in the past. And Cox pretty much single-handedly ruins the timing of this, making the running back do this. Trey Dean is in position now. Again, if you're the strong safety, you better be a good tackler. Trey Dean now is inexplicably going to choose to engage the outside of this blocker, which makes no sense. You've seen me talk on the offensive side of the football for Florida, if you watch that breakdown, that obviously the hole they want to go through is right here. This is where they want to go. And Trey Dean says, yeah, no problem. Here, why don't you just go this way? I'm going to take myself out of the play. Compounding matters for him. He has Helm here as his extra edge defender. He needs to fill this gap and force him to come outside to Helm. Instead, right, there is no help defense. We've got our linebackers trapped underneath here. Take a look at this. Here comes Shamar James. He's bottled up. There comes Ventrell Miller. He's bottled up. And now we've got Trey Dean chucking a guy off of him to the side. And now we've got 2 Gators stuck, 2 linebackers stuck. The only hope here, right, is for Princely to make a hero play in the backside. which he can't, and we're off to the races. And that's just frustrating. And so if you're Cox, you can see the frustration builds for him, because if you're Cox, you hero moded this. This has got to be a tackle for loss in a great scenario, or at the very least, it's got to be like a 1 or 2 yard gain. For that to become a 20-yard gain is pretty frustrating. And again, Florida, they're going to clean this stuff up. But Dean on film is not getting it done as a strong safety. If Florida continues to play him there, he's going to have to get better, or they're going to have to give someone else a shot. It's a 2nd and 2 for Utah. And again here, there's Big Dez, by the way, taking on a double team. But what we're going to see is just some confusion of roles for Florida, stuff that's got to get cleaned up. So now you have Cox on the edge over here, and he's holding the edge. But you have Dean also on the edge, and you have nobody filling this gap. Dean's going to get there late, but instead of that being a hit in the hole, again, and I don't know whose responsibility this is, right? In this case, I have to imagine Cox is the edge defender. I'm going to go with that. But regardless, one of them is the edge and one of them is the gap filler. And we have no gap being filled here. It's late, and someone's got to be in that gap. So again, something to clean up, but something that plagued Florida, especially in the second half, as they gave up run after run after run. Take a look at Cox here. Again, just another exemplary play by him. 2nd down and 6. He's going to time the snap perfectly, squeeze through, and all by himself make the tackle. I mean, it's a phenomenal play. That's a great individual effort to make a play there on the defensive line. And again, I think Florida's defensive line on most of these plays, I'm not always calling attention to it, has a player that is broken through. But it takes the other guys to fill the gaps to make it right. And that's promising for Florida, especially against a team like Utah. I think a lot of Florida fans have really undervalued how good Utah is at running the football. The number 2 team in the country last year in yards per carry. They're a solid rushing football team. They're also employing a lot of goal line style formations with 12 and 13 personnel. Florida was playing those with an undermanned set of down linemen, which was a tactical decision. I didn't love that. But in general, Florida's D-line was still getting 1 or 2 guys through on almost every snap. And so I think the jury's out for how good they can be in the future. But for those fans that were panicking, I'd say wait. I think the film shows otherwise. Now, as far as the linebackers go, I think that's going to be an issue for Florida all year long. 3rd down and 6 here for Utah. Florida's going to bring pressure, and just nothing is going to be right here. A lot of confusion with who's defending who. Here comes Florida bringing pressure this time, right? We're committing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 guys. We're not going to get there in time. Here comes Bernie. And part of the problem is you have to stop the first read. If you're going to bring pressure, you've got to stop the first read. Here's Shamar James. We have a confusion of responsibilities. Who is guarding who? Running back comes right out. He's going to be wide open. But not just that. Everyone is going to be wide open, wide open, wide open. Take a look here. Wide open, wide open. He's flowing. Shamar James is actually covering no one, right? But we got open, open, wide open. This is just a busted coverage here. And then we have a tackle at the end by Kimber, the Georgia transfer, and he winds up saving a touchdown. But again, week 1, game 1, install of the new coaching regime. You got to give some time here. If this is happening in week 4 and 5, we got real problems. But for week 1, we'll give it a pass, but it still wasn't pretty. Adding to the not pretty pile here for Florida on 1st and goal is we are not ready. We are not ready for this play. Again, Utah caught us by surprise with their tempo. Not a team that runs tempo. Good wrinkle by them. We're not ready. We're not even down. We're not lined up. And they're going to gash us here for a big gain all the way down to what looks like the end zone, but basically just that 1 yard line. That spot is going to matter because that is not a touchdown. Too bad for that Utah fan. That's not a touchdown, but they are on the inch line. Florida now tries to change personnel on the fly. Gets tempoed again. 12 men on the field, yet there's a heroic stop made right there by your boy Big Dez. Big Dez is taking up space in here. He's taking up space. He's an animal. Look at him right there, turning him back, throwing him to the ground, and giving Florida another chance at 2nd down. So Florida now, and this is what I want to point out, Florida now playing 1, 2, 3, 4 down linemen, 5 here in the line, still playing with a lot of linebackers, but even having essentially 5 down linemen is going to make a big difference in their fate here on the goal line. I just really don't know why Florida didn't go to more of a 5-2 look or a 6-1 look at different times in this game, especially given the matchups they had with our corners versus their receivers, which were favorable. So here we go. This could be the play of the game in some aspects. Rising is going to trip his running back, who is without a doubt going to score. No doubt this is going to score, right? This play is golden. Too far inside. They're never going to get there. They've got their fullback there blocking anyone who's going to come onto the edge. This is going to be a touchdown. But thanks to this snipe job here, Florida gets a benefit, and it becomes 3rd down and goal now from the 3. Look, football's a crazy game between two teams that are evenly matched. These little plays, these little moments can shift the fates. All right, 3rd and goal. We said on the podcast coming into this game that Rising's weakness was goal line offense. He does not pass very well around the goal line, and that was clear that Utah didn't even want him to pass around the goal line, which of course would come into play at the end of the game. Because on 3rd down and goal, they're going to run it now for the 4th straight time, and he's going to get all the way down here because Florida's going to get cleared out. They're going to double team. Here's our double team. Double team in the middle. This particular case, they're going to drive Dez way back. Dez played a lot of snaps, which was encouraging, but here he's going to get owned. That's not what you want to see from your big 400-pound nose tackle. You want to see him holding his ground there. He does not get a good start leverage-wise. We get a nice tackle here coming in late to save the day. We get a nice play there, but this is shaping up to be what looks like a touchdown, but Antoine Powell there with that tackle. Then Torrance comes in and redirects, and then Cam Rising is oh so close, but not a touchdown, setting up a 4th and goal. 4th down and goal from literally the inch line. And this again, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 5 down linemen, 6, 7 guys in the line charging. Matching beef with beef here, Florida can make it happen. That's an important thing to look at. If you're going to play 4 versus 7, it's tough for anybody. And this is going to allow Ventrell Miller to hit this gap with some downhill speed. And that's huge. Hit that B gap right there. Bam. Stick him, make the tackle. He loses the football a little bit on the way down, which saves Florida. That's no touchdown upon review. It holds up no touchdown. That's the first significant goal line stand from Florida. So you saw at the end of the first half, Florida dodged not giving up at least 3 points thanks to some errant throws by Rising. Then you saw them earn their way out of it here with a heroic 5-play goal line stand, essentially, and earn their way out of 0 points there. So that's two drives that could have definitely ended in points that did not, which helped shape the end of this football game. All right, this is a play to show off Big Dez. I mean, just look at this mountain of a man right here. He's a huge man. He's got great feet for a guy his size. He's hopefully a baby Vince Wilfork, and I only say baby because of his age, not because of his size. But shed this. Look at this. Nope. And then the footwork there. I mean, look at that guy. Look at the footwork to run this running back down, grab him and put him down. I mean, that's awesome. Go get yourself some right there. That is absolutely awesome. Big Dez exploding off the line, running down a running back. I mean, that is fantastic. If Florida can get 25 or 30 snaps out of him a game, he's going to get better and better and better, and he is going to be an absolute force on that line playing D-tackle, nose tackle there. That is going to be something to watch this season. So one thing I really like about Patrick Toney is his scheme generally is very sound. I think it's going to get better as time goes on. I think part of what plagued Florida in this game is the players didn't execute it correctly at times. Here's a 2nd and 8. Toney's got a good feel for what they want to do. They're going to bracket 80, who's been tearing Florida up. We're in the 3rd quarter now. We know where they want to go. We know where Cam is looking at right off the start. It's not even a surprise. And we're going to bracket this. So Bernie's going to be the underneath man. Dean's going to be the overtop man. That's the bottom line. Real simple, right? Well, here comes your out, and here comes Dean eating the out route like a cookie. And there he goes. Dean's off your screen. Now here's Dean because he ate the out route like a cookie, which is not what you want to have. I can't even draw a cookie. I'm trying to draw like a chocolate chip cookie here. That's the worst looking cookie ever. But he eats that thing up like a cookie, and that allows this to happen where Bernie is playing perfect underneath technique. This is a great ball by Rising. But Dean should be here. Dean should be on top of this play, breaking this up. But instead, he inexplicably goes for the out route on the out and up, which you do not do. Your job is to stay on top. So again, I'm going to keep asking the question, if Trey Dean's going to put this stuff on film, he cannot keep playing. And it's always important for me to say this on these film reviews. Although on film review, you're going to pick on a player because of technique that's not good at things that aren't right, it's certainly not personal. I obviously hope that Trey Dean turns it around and puts better stuff on film. But, this is a sport where there's 11 guys that all have to be held accountable. And if one guy does not do his job, the whole team suffers. And that's what you're seeing here. And again, on film, I think you're seeing this throughout the film study that Dean just did not have a good game. if he's going to play against Kentucky, here's to hoping he fixes things really quickly. 1st and 10, time to highlight another really good play. This is Justin Boone, number 12. Young guy getting in there, getting some snaps, and look at what he does here. He's going to blow up that right tackle. Bam, that's a right tackle. That's a lineman driving 2-3 yards back. Get off of that and make a tackle. That is absolutely fantastic. It's great to see Florida playing young guys and the young guys actually having an impact. And look, Justice Boone is a redshirt freshman. It's a young guy on the line getting in there. That's a great play for him. Great piece of film he's now got out there. Let's keep that up there, Justice. Nice play. 3rd down and 4, chance for Florida to get a stop and force a long field goal perhaps. And again, I want to highlight why I don't think the defensive line was a major issue in this problem. Here we go with 4 down linemen and a 5th on the edge here. And Florida's going to win again. Look, this is a win. We have Dexter, our 2 D tackles, right? Dexter and Dez in. This play is now dead. We just need our linebackers to fill their gaps. We must fill the gap. Instead, we're going to have Bernie trap himself right next to Miller in the same exact gap, and there he goes. And Miller makes this tackle. Look, this is a great tackle by Miller, but just like we saw on the film of Florida's offense and Utah struggling, you cannot have this. This cannot happen. You cannot have Miller making this tackle after getting engaged by the center. You have Bernie not even a block. There's no block he's even taking on right here. No one's even blocking him. He blocks himself and can't make the play, then gets sniped down on the ground. Meanwhile, Ventrell fights off the block right here and is able to make this tackle in the gap. And again, this is a stop. This is a stop. The defensive line has done their job. This is a stop. If Bernie simply scrapes across the formation like he should, don't come down here, scrape across the formation, fill this hole, make a hit. So there's just tremendous room for improvement with Florida's linebackers. They are definitely, without a doubt, in my opinion, the weak spot of this football team. Ventrell's a good run stopper. He can't do it by himself. He's got to have another linebacker to emerge, or it's going to be a long year for Florida when they face teams that can attack them in the way that Utah does, which admittedly very few can, but some will. Georgia comes to mind, of course. Alabama. Teams of that nature are gonna put Florida in a serious bind if they can't clean this stuff up. All right, it's 1st and 15. To this point, Cox has largely done his job. However, now Utah's been driving. They've been driving 3 times in a row, if you look at it that way. Although they have no points, they've been driving 3 times in a row. And here's Cox. Cox has now decided he's had enough of this. It's 1st and 15. He's going to make a play. Now we get an exchange here. Linebacker exchange flowing over. We have Ventrell Miller on the side. Now Ventrell typically, he's not doing his job. So I'm gonna assume here this is not a scrape exchange where Ventrell Miller is supposed to be coming down. We have Trey Dean bailing. Either Ventrell and Trey got it wrong and Cox got it right, or more likely, Cox is engaging hero mode. And here comes hero mode. I am going to take out this running back no matter what, except the running back doesn't have the ball. Now we've got a problem. If Cox had done his job and come in here and shuffled on the edge as the unblocked man, which, by the way, it's a pretty good sign. If you play D-end, if you don't get blocked on this, it's a pretty good sign that they are about to use you. You're about to get tooled. If you're not getting blocked, pay attention. Slow yourself down. You are about to be a pawn in their game, and he becomes one. There it is. There goes Rising, a guy we talked about in the podcast, could run surprisingly well. Most teams tend to be surprised by this despite his stats. And instead of this being Cox, our best athlete on the defensive line, sitting right here waiting for him to eat him up, and now this would be the handoff scenario, which actually we're in pretty good shape here. Good outside leverage, right? This is not bad. We'll live with this. This is what we have. We have this. So now we're in trouble. There's Rising out the back end. There's Dexter trying to come help. That's not his job. Marshall's on the outside. We got Trey Dean getting on the wrong end of that. And there we go. A massive gain because one guy voids his job. That's the frustration with Cox. He wants to celebrate all the good things he does. Well, look, just do your job. Do your job and let the rest take care of itself. Do not go rogue. You cannot affect a team like that. That's a humongous gain for a play that simply could have been stopped by just staying on your edge. You have got to set the edge. Here's an example of Cox doing a great job. It's now 1st and goal. Cox is now going to go into the right thing. This is his job on the edge. He's going to disengage from the tight end. He's going to get all the way into the backfield on this toss and reroute this play. Right? This play They're wanting to run this play right here. Well, Cox has now taken away the primary lane they want. That's a win for him. Meanwhile, Trey Dean right here is going to get thrown onto the ground. Thrown onto the ground. So here comes your strong safety. His job is to fill this gap and make this play. Your strong safety is getting thrown onto the ground by a receiver. Is that holding? Kind of sideways right here. Maybe. Either way, that's your strong safety and your gap filler getting thrown on the ground. Again, your defensive line here has just won. Your D-line has just won. They've done their job. Where is your gap fill? Where is your linebacker? Where are they? Let's look at Bernie. Here's Bernie. Here's a linebacker. Here's Bernie. Plays a toss. Bernie stuck himself inside again. No one's blocking him yet. He stuck himself inside. Now he's blocked all the way out here. He's the furthest possible man. He's gone. There's our linebacker. He's gone. Ventrell's playing on this side because he's matched up. He can't do anything about it. So it's got to be Trey Dean or it's got to be Bernie. Well, Bernie's on the ground, right? And now you have Bernie blocked all the way out of the field of view, and there's Jason Marshall not wanting to make a tackle. He's going to just dead fish at him. That's a touchdown. That's a bad look. It's a bad look. Again, Tony's defense, I believe in it. I've seen great stuff on film at Louisiana. I have not seen a lot of great stuff on film in this game against Utah. It's not pretty yet. Yet is the key word. I expect that to change. 2-point conversion. Again, we're going to highlight Cox because he is going to blow this play up. Here's the play. Utah is going to get cute, and they're going to try to run a handoff to the running back and this little jet sweep to their best player here, 80 to Kuthi. And here it is. There's the little toss, and Cox reads this perfectly. Is setting the edge now. Nice job, by the way, Cox. Way to pop out here and set the edge. Here he is. And that play's dead. They fumble it, but forget it. It doesn't matter. He's gone. He's done. He's erased. They're not going to get it. So great job there by Cox. This is a bad little toss, but Florida was ready for this one. Florida's on this. Perkins sets the edge out here. He's a great tackler. He's locked up. We're setting the edge out here on Rising, and Cox is doing his job here. Check mark. Great job. Way to go. That's what you want to see on film. All right, 3rd and 6. At this point in time in the game, I would really be hoping that Florida is paying attention to this man who is literally destroying them and putting whoever they have on him, doubling him, doing whatever it takes. We're instead going to go with the Bernie matchup here because that's the matchup we like, and that's ridiculous. That's going to be 14 yards for a basic little bunch middle route. I mean, it's painful, but I want you to look at something. Again, cover the first read. What happens on this play? A sack. There we are again. 4 down lineman. There's Cox. Destroys the right tackle. Bye-bye. I'm going to eat right here. I can't. So again, for those of you that are questioning the defensive line, the film says otherwise. Are they perfect? No. Were they lining up 1 or 2 yards off the ball? Yes, that's inexplicable. I don't understand that. We got to fix that. But as far as their ability to actually generate pressure and gaps, they were there. This stuff, though, I mean, again, look at their drive right here. Look at the drive. Look at the D-line. Look at this. Stuff just can't happen. Again, Florida's got to figure out what's going on at linebacker, and they got to figure out what's going on at nickel, and they got to figure out what's going on at strong safety. And if they can't find good solutions to that, they're going to have to get real creative because this is too easy. All right, 1st and 10 for Utah. We have Cox here again, either hero or zero. There seems to be no in between. And he has decided again, here's Ventrell Miller. Again, pretty unlikely in this situation that they're doing a scrape exchange. Here's Dexter playing inexplicably 2 yards off the ball. Here comes Cox. I'm engaging hero mode. Uh-oh, he doesn't have the ball. Hero to zero because nobody is setting the edge on this play. And now we're going to throw it to our second favorite target, and he's going to break Ventrell Miller's tackle, and he's going to roll for a nice 16-yard gain. Again, this is too easy. It's too easy, and it's because someone is not doing his job. His job is to hold the edge. He goes out here and he holds. As soon as this ball's not handed off, he's destroying the quarterback for an incomplete pass, and now it's 2nd down and 10. Instead, it's a huge gain. All right, 3rd down and 1. I showed you earlier on the goal line stand, Florida had a lot of success when they lined up, right, 5 down linemen. They actually had a ton of success. So now, Utah, in the goal line formation, hey, we're going to run the ball. Big neon sign here, right? Here's our fullback. We're coming with the beef, and Florida challenges with a 3-4. Inexplicable. This makes no sense. Now, we don't have guys back here like we did with Grantham, right? It's not a comedy. This is poor. This makes no sense given what's gone on, and we're going to pay the price for this. Look at that. Just clear us out. But of course they're going to clear us out. This is Florida playing with their arms tied behind their back on this play on 3rd and 1. I don't know what they're hoping for. Touchdown. That's poor tactics there. Poor tactics there for Florida, and they paid the price. After a heroic drive by Florida's offense and a 4th down conversion, the defense takes the field. The Swamp is in a frenzy. We're fired up. Can we get a stop? We've got Trevez now matched up here, which hasn't worked out great on 80, but it's certainly better than Bernie. And Florida's going to bring 4 against Utah's 6. Again, I want you to keep this stuff in mind. I feel like I'm stumping here for the D-line because I think it's just a lot of times fans don't pay attention to the numbers game here, which means Florida, because they've gone 4 on 6, obviously has 7 here, right? 7 here versus 5, which is a great advantage for their pass defense. And Florida's going to move him off the spot, which is what you want. Defensive line does their job. He's now off the spot. Now here comes Cox to apply pressure. Check and check. We have 2 checks here. Here's Miller playing fantastic defense on the check down. This ball goes right through his hands. I mean, I don't think he could have really picked this ball. I've watched it a million times on the all-22 angle where you can see the other end zone. But he's right there. He's closer than it looks here. You probably saw that on the TV replays. And that's a nice comeback route on Marshall. Really well-timed comeback route, by the way. Solomon Ennis, a solid receiver. Comeback route is his best thing. Got Devin Moore on it. He gets Jason Marshall on it right there. And that's a nice play. Scramble mode, not a setup comeback route, but a scramble drill there. But a nice play for a first down. Good defense by Florida. Unlucky there to not have a better result. Now Florida's getting to play a football game they much prefer that suits their strengths. Utah now going to go with a 4 receiver set. Of course, there are still 2 tight ends in there, so they're still running 12 personnel. But either way, Florida's now playing a much different game, right? We have 5 linemen here, 4 rushers. They're going to send the running back out. So Florida now in a more typical pass rush situation on 1st and 10. And on this play, we've got Ventrell Miller. Ventrell Miller is going to be the rat here. He's going to slide into his zone. He's going to read the quarterback's eyes. He's shadowing the running back and also covering anything over his head. Florida in a zone defense. And we've seen this be just horrible for Florida in years past. It's great right now. Ventrell reads the quarterback's eyes, leaves the check down, and this ball should have been a pick. I'm not going to have a good quality to show you this, but if you watched it on the TV replay or you can find it online in different sources, this should have been a pick. This ball hits him right in the hands, and he knows it. He mistimes his jump. There it is. He mistimes his jump. And actually, here you go. He mistimes his jump. He has it. The reason this looks so awkward is he just jumped early. And so now he's coming down at the wrong time, and he sort of alligator arms it, hands it wrong. He's a middle linebacker. That's what it's going to look like oftentimes. But a great read by him could have ended the game right there. And if Florida had not won this game, that would have haunted him probably forever. But thankfully, that's not how this ends. So one of my favorite guys on film is Perkins, Jadarius Perkins. Now, he played at the end of this game. He got meaningful snaps. He's an absolute ball hawk. He's a tackling machine. He's glue when he covers people. The problem, as we found out on film last year, is that he seems to never know what he's doing. And if you're not putting him in man defense, hey, guard that guy, things don't seem to work out. I really hope Florida fixes this because this is a freshman, Devin Moore, telling him what to do. They need to fix it because Perkins is too good not to be out there. They have to find a way to get this guy to figure out what's going on. Again, he has no idea. Moore is telling him, look, he's come back in motion. What's happening? Okay, I'm not really sure. I'm confused. And now we get what you never want to have, right? All that talk led to nothing because now we have Moore and we have Perkins guarding one guy. Now, granted, that one guy is their best receiver, so at least that happened. It's their tight end, right? It's Kuthi. It's 80. That's great. I'm very happy for that. That makes me happy, except that's wrong. That's not supposed to be happening on this play. We have totally messed up. Someone is supposed to be sitting right here in the flat, waiting for this, like Miller is right here. That's what we need to have happening. Had that happened, then this wouldn't happen, which hurts really bad. So, week 1, game 1 of a new regime. That's what I'm going to say there. I don't expect that stuff to be happening later in the season. And here is why I love Perkins and why I want this guy in the field. Because this dude makes plays. He knows what he's doing on this play. He's locked in. He's not confused. And when he's not confused, he's a baller. He's going to open up here to the outside. He's going to buzz to the outside. And his technique, although you can't see it's perfect, he's watching right here. 80's going to run this little in. He's watching both him and he's responsible for this flat throw underneath. And he is going to drive down full speed, break down, and stick that tackle. I mean, that's just how you do it. Now, next time, Perkins, buckle your chin strap, right? So we don't have to save Utah a timeout. If you weren't sure what happened here, under 2 minutes, the defensive player's helmet comes off, the clock stops, it gets reset. Utah caught a timeout right away. The officials will then go over and say, do you want to use that timeout? Florida's helmet came off. You don't have to. That is what happened. That's why Utah did not have to burn that timeout. So that's what happened there in the stadium. That was confusing. That's what happened here. But Perkins, I mean, that is great stuff, Perkins. That's why the guy's got to be on the field. They got to figure it out. He's just too good. And he makes plays, right? All the times we've seen Trevez and Dean sort of just be there. The dude makes plays when he's on the field, but he's got to figure out where to get to. They got to find a way to get it going for him. So 3rd and 7. Here we go again with Cox going hero mode again. It's really frustrating with him, hero or zero. And this is going to be 0 because he tries to be a hero. They're going to twist exchange with Dexter and Cox, which is a nice idea. I like this, right? So here we go. Take a look. I'm sorry, not Dexter, with Powell. My apologies. Powell's going to come across. Here's the twist, right? We're going to twist exchange here, which this now means that Cox is responsible for the inside, right? The B gap, and we're now here on the outside. We'll watch what happens here. Cox is fine. Everything's fine. We're fine. Edge defender, you are now the D tackle, right? Same thing happened here. Dexter's now the edge, right? Here's Powell on the inside. Everything is good. Everything is, oh, wait, no, where are you going? Where are you going, Cox? No, come back. Cox, come back, please come back. Where? No, why? Where? No. Again, look at what happens here. This is the right way to do it. Right way to do it. Boom, boom, boom. We have one rogue soldier. He's gone the wrong way. He can't get back in time. It's 3rd and 7. It's a 30-some-odd yard gain, changing the complexion of this football game. Changing the entire complexion of this football game. If Cox stays here, he probably makes this tackle somewhere around here. And it's 4th down. Instead, huge gain. You have to do your job. We highlighted Jason Marshall earlier in the game and his off-man technique. Well, here's true freshman Devin Moore, a guy that was heralded in the camp. And here he is. Take a look at him. He's going to largely hold the line here. You're going to lose him off screen. He's going to largely hold the line. And Rising's going to come his way, which is a mistake. Because when you hold the line, you can explode off, right? And come downhill, and that's what happens. That's why you do not backpedal yourself on these short throws. You saw Marshall do it earlier. Same thing here. If you're a corner and you're playing off man, you stay right there. You watch the first 3 yards. If this is a stop route, if it's a slant route, if it's an out route, you are driving downhill, and this is the result. 2nd and 6 now for Utah, and somehow they get the same matchup that they want, which is Bernie on their best player. That's frustrating. They're going to spread it out here. This is not what Utah does super well, but they're going to do it really well, and they can throw this to their best receiver with Bernie just simply watching. I mean, that's just too easy. I mean, what the heck are we doing? On top of that, Florida blows this coverage up here. This is blown. We stay high here. He goes with him. He also has this route. Completely blown coverage. Wait for it. There he is. So we're just blowing things all over the place, right? There it is. I'm sorry, that's the second number. That's the number 2 target. At least we're there. That's number 2. So we're good. We're in good shape, right? We'll leave him open instead. It's not 80. But either way, I mean, this is too easy. That's not good, right? That can't happen. The only benefit for Florida is Utah is out of timeouts, and now they're afraid essentially to run the football because we're in the red zone. we're close. We're really tight to the goal line. And we know from data that Cam Rising's weakest part of the entire field is throwing the ball in this area. Let's see what he comes up with. First and goal. If I'm Utah here, I got to tell you, if I'm Utah here, I line up in 13 personnel and I run the football. I'm down 3. I've been running all over Florida's defense. I can still line up and spike the ball and give myself a plethora of options to score. But from this distance, although Cam Rising, of course, a very capable quarterback, again, historically, not great from this distance, not their strength. I would have taken my chances with that. They don't elect to do that, but they do get everything they want here, and they get a ton of time. Florida gets bottled up. This is too much time, right? He's had time to go through all of his progressions. There is nothing there, and then we finally get pressure at the end, which causes him to throw this football away. I think I'm not gonna say the TV angle. Let's see if they zoom out. They don't. So on the all 22, you can rest assured there was nothing there. The good news is, although you can't see it on television, take my word for it, the coverage here was really good across the board. And the only one you can really see is this one. But across the board, the coverage was great. He was out of the end zone. The only throw he had was right at the very opening. You're going to see this. Marshall is going to fade out here like he's supposed to play the boundary line. And this throw is here right away. Right away. But Rising wants to go here because Florida had messed up this route before and led to an easy touchdown. So had he instead read this first and that second, this would have been a touchdown. And look, sometimes that happens, right? This exchange was not perfect by these two. If you're going to play it this way, Marshall needs to be much closer to this in-breaking route. But then he gets back on top of it, and we're safe, right? So early moment there was an opening. Late moment there was not. And that brings up second down and goal. Now, Cam Rising has a lot of hype. He's a guy people like from Texas, right? Had a great year in the Pac-12 last year. Solid QB. Did not have his best game against Florida. I think a lot of throws he'd rather have back, but this one was really poor quarterbacking here. So, of course, he's going to want to go for one of his favorite targets. His favorite target is going to come out here, and he's going to be handled very nicely here. We're going to take him away. So he's good. We're on top of him. That's important. But Rising's not looking there. In fact, Rising is only going to look at one spot of the field, which is here. Now, Florida is playing cover one man, which I love. In the past, we've not seen that. Cover one man, right? And then we've got a rat. We've got a robber. And here he is. This robber is Bernie, a guy who had a rough game across the board. But he's going to have a great moment here that we're all going to remember and celebrate. And he does an excellent job on this. First of all, let's take his technique. Open up, read the releases of the receivers. Great job. Great coaching. Exactly right. You are the rat. You're not covering any one of them. Read the releases. Get an idea of where they're going. Position your body in their lane. Big time. Little details make big plays. He does that. And now he's positioned on this side of the field because the release of all 3 receivers was this way. All right, now step number 2. You can't see it on this angle. I'm going to show you the other one. He's going to slide and read that Rising, I want you to watch Rising now. Rising never takes his eyes off of his target the entire time. Now look, that's freshman high school quarterback stuff. You cannot be doing that, especially not at this level. He locked in. The moment was big. Perhaps he's a little nervous, but this cannot happen. And the reason this cannot happen is because that's what the rat or robber will do. Will follow your eyes. You have to move him as a quarterback, get him away from your throw location. He does not. He pays the ultimate price. Bernie makes a great pick. Again, the good news on this play as well is that nobody was actually open on this play. Nobody was open. Last play we had a little window, a sliver. This play nobody was open, and he forces this ball through on second and goal with still a lot of time left, and they're only down 3. It's the best case scenario, obviously, for Florida. The TV angle here is going to show you this replay at the end. We're going to get an end zone cam look, and that's going to be even better. Of course, crowd goes crazy. Utah can't believe it, right? What a moment in the swamp. So many good things happening, and I'm wrong. I'm not going to show you an angle of that. My apologies. But as far as we can piece together on this, like we said, one last time in real time, here's the play. Bernie with the pick. And again, this doesn't happen if it's not for him using his eyes to read all the releases went this way. He can't get anything to the boundary. He's going to slide where that receiver most likely is going to come back in the window, read the quarterback's eyes, make a play. Phenomenal stuff. That's great stuff from Bernie. Again, a guy who struggled in this game, a guy who is who he is, right? And it's not going to be his fault, whether he can cover a top tight end in college football. It is what it is. But to make that play in that moment was huge, and he did everything right there. And that's fantastic stuff. And it's certainly a football game that I think all Gators fans are going to remember forever. A phenomenal night in the swamp, a great opener for Billy Napier. And I, for one, am really looking forward to seeing what this defense puts on film as we go through this season. I'll be here to chronicle it for you. I hope you enjoyed this film breakdown. As always, I'm James from the Gator Nation Football Podcast, and I look forward to seeing you next week when I break down Gator.